Hello guys, in this video we are going to create this animated navigation bar. So this is a kind of like a toggle animation that takes place when we click this button, and we are going to create this. This is taken from the 50 projects in 50 days course by Travis Media. You can check the links in the description for more details on that. Let's get started. We're using the same template that we previously created. The link to how to create this template is in the cards. You can check that out. We are using live server to show to rapidly reload the page. The code for this project and all other projects in this series is in my GitHub repo. The link to that is also in the description. Do check that out as well. So let's begin by creating a nav bar, and the nav bar will have an ID of nav. When the nav is active, it will have a class of active. So if we look at this demo, this is the active state, and when this is active, it will have a class of active. So this is how we differentiate between which state the nav bar is in. So when we click this button, it will add this class, and when we click this close button, it will remove the class. So that's how we will be switching this on and off. And in the nav, we'll have an unordered list. Let me just go back here. An UL, and the UL will have list items. So in the list item, we'll have an A tag, which goes nowhere. And these are basically the links that are here. So as we can check it here, there is home, works, about, and contact. So we'll copy this multiple times. Okay, so home, works, about, and contact. So these are the four links that are here, and that's all we need in the nav bar. Also we need this button. So below the unordered list, we'll create a button with the ID of toggle, and it will have a class of icon. So this button will have basically these two lines, which we will animate. We need a div with a class of line, and we need two of them. So we'll create that, and the way we differentiate between two will be based on another class. So we'll name them line 1 and line 2, so that we can tell the difference between the two of them. And when we save that, you can see all these things here, and this is without any style. So we'll style it in a bit, but since we know how this animation works, we'll just do the JavaScript first, and then we'll go into the style part. So first we'll get the nav from the DOM. So document dot get element by ID, and we'll get the ID of nav, and we'll copy this whole line and paste here, and we'll get the button as well, and we'll add an on-click listener to the button. So we'll add toggle dot add event listener, and we'll listen to the event of click, and when the click happens, we'll call this function. And basically we just need to toggle the active class to show the animation. So the easiest way to do is just nav dot class list dot toggle, and we want to toggle the active class, and that's all the JavaScript there is, and that's all we need. Now let's begin with the CSS part of it. First let's remove the let's change the font. So we'll select everything here, we'll change it to Muli, and we'll change the font family as well and save that. We'll remove the overflow hidden, and we'll make it height, and we do not need a flex direction column. Now we'll add this gradient here. So to do that, we'll add background image, and we'll add a linear gradient, and it will be to bottom, and we need two colors here. So we need one color to go from 0 to 50%, and the other color to go from 50% to 100%. So we'll take the first color, which is hash EAFBFF, and we'll give it a value of 0%, and we'll copy this and paste it and make it 50%. Now we'll enter the second color, which is 5290F9, and we'll make it go from 50% to 100%. So we'll copy it again and paste it and make it 100. So now when we save that, you can see it's the same color from here, and we've made the same gradient. So that's what we need in the body. Now we'll style the nav bar. So nav will have a background color of white, not background image, background color of white. We'll add a padding to it. So we'll add a padding of 20 pixel. Also we'll add a width property. So we'll add a width of 80 pixel. So this 80 pixel here is when this nav is in normal state and not active is not added. So when it's closed, it will have a width of 80%, and when it's active, it will have a width of 100%. So when the nav has a class of active, we want its width to be 100%. So we'll just write it, and not 100%, we'll just keep it something like 350 pixel. Okay, that's better. So coming back to the styling of the nav bar, we'll add a border radius of 3 pixel. We'll add a box shadow. Which has a 0 pixel offset on x-axis, 3 pixel offset on the y-axis, 6 pixel blur, and we'll add a color of black. So RGB is 0, 0, 0, and we'll add a 0.3 opacity. So we can see a small shadow has been added on the bottom side. Now we'll center everything inside this. So the easiest way to do is using flex. So we'll display flex, and we'll add align item center and justify content center. Now since this width is changing, we do not want it to abruptly change, so we'll add a transition to the width property, and we want it to take place in 0.6 seconds, and we need the animation to be linear. So we'll save that. So that's all we need for the nav bar. Now we'll style the unordered list here. We'll take an nav and UL, and we'll first remove this bullet point. So list style type, and we'll give it a value of none. Then we'll display flex so that everything is in a row, and now we'll remove all the padding and the margin from the unordered list. So padding 0 and margin 0. Then we'll also give a width of 0 because this is in the normal state and the active class is not added. So since it's the normal state, we want to transition to the width property, so that when the width changes it's smooth. So we'll add a width, and we'll add the same which was added before, which is 0.6 seconds, and linear. So when the active class is added, we want an animation to take place in the UL, so we want to change the width as well. So we'll add nav active and UL, and we'll give width as 100%. Now let's style the list item within the nav. So we'll do nav UI li, and all the list item has an opacity change when it moves from here to here, and also it rotates. So when the active class is there, the opacity is 0 and it is somewhere here, and when the active class is added, it's not back to where it was. So in our project as well, when it's normal state, we'll add the opacity to be 0, and we want the list item to rotate as well. So we'll add a transform rotate, and we'll add a rotation of 0 degree, and we'll add a transition to both of these properties because this will change, and we want the transition to be smooth. So we'll add a transition to the transform property, the same settings, which is 0.6 seconds, and linear. Also the same for the opacity as well. So we'll change the property here, opacity. So now we have added a transition to opacity and the transform property. So now we want to change these parameters when the active state is added. So we'll do nav.active, and we'll take the li, so ul li, and we'll change the opacity to 1. We'll transform rotate y and make it 360 degree. Okay, it's not rotate here. We want to rotate it in the y-axis. So we'll save that. Now let's change the styling on the a tag here. So nav li a, and we'll remove the text decoration. So text decoration none. We'll change the color to black. We'll position it relative, and we'll add a margin to it as well, so that it's spaced properly. So we'll add a margin of 0 pixel top and bottom and 10 pixel left and right, so it has enough space. So now when we click the button, it changes. But here, since the button does not have any width or height and it's above the nav bar here, it's not clicking, so we need to fix that. So let's take the button. So button has a class of icon, so we'll take that, and first let's set the background color, and we'll set it to white, which is same as that of our nav bar, and we'll remove that border. We'll give it a height and a width property so that it's big enough, and similar to the height, we'll give a width which is 30 pixels each. We'll give it a cursor so that we can see the change here. So when we hover over it, not now, yeah, now you can see there is a change in cursor. We want to position it relative because we want to position the lines within the button absolute. So we'll position relative. We'll also remove any padding if there is any. Yeah, now it's toggling properly, but we do not want this outline. Dot icon in focus state, we want to remove the outline. So now if we click here, you can see the transition is taking properly, but the lines are not here. So now we'll add the lines on top of it. So let's type the lines. So icon dot line, we want to add a color to the line, so we'll do background color, and we'll give it a hex value of 5290F9, which is a light blue color. We cannot see it yet because there is no height and width property, so we'll give it a height and width. So we'll give it a height of 2 pixel and a width of 20 pixel. So now both the lines are there together. We need to separate those. So we'll add the position to the lines here. So we'll position it absolute, and we'll give it a top value of 10 pixel and left value of 5 pixel. Now both the lines are in a single position, and we need to change that. Also, this line will be changing its position, so we need to add a transition property to it, so that when the transition takes place, it's smooth. So we'll add a transition to the transform property, and just like the other transitions, we'll add a 0.6 second transition and a linear action. We'll save that. Now let's change the position of the second line. So dot icon and dot line 2, and we'll take the top position and we'll give a value of auto, and we'll give a bottom value of 10 pixel. So now the icon is there. Now we need to add a transition property to it, so that when the active class is added, it changes its rotation. So when the nav has an active class, we want the line 1 to rotate. So when this is closed, we want the lines to be at 45 degree each, so that it's forming an X here. So we'll rotate it to 45 degree. So transform rotate, and we'll rotate 45 degree, and we'll also translate Y so that it moves. Translate Y, and we'll give it a value of 5.5 pixel, so it changes a little position. So we'll copy this and make a similar change for line 2, but the only difference is the degree here is minus 45 degree, and we'll save that. So we need to add a negative to the line 1. Okay, negative to the y-axis, so it's properly aligned. So now if we click there, you can see it's changing, but the animation is not smooth. That's because it's transform, and we have not spelled it correctly. So now when we click, the transition takes place, but the transition is very slow. So when we see here, it rotates multiple times before reaching here. So the way we can do that is increase the rotate angle. So if we rotate it 2 more times, which is say 360 into 2, which is 720 plus 45, which is 765, then the rotation will be proper. So we'll give it a rotation of 765 degree. Now if you click here, so the rotation takes place much faster, and there are many more rotation that is happening. I hope you learned something from this video and it was useful for you, and if you did, do let me know in the comment section. And thank you for watching, and see you guys in the next one.